We know we're matching.
Opposites are matching.
Coordinating.
We do. I sit upside down with my feet up, then we'll match.
Now we match. So we were gonna do a whole separate week 2 intro, and we actually did film one, but it was pretty boring because here's the deal: we didn't really do anything.
Didn't do much.
So we're gonna take the next 30 seconds to tell you exactly what we did. Ready? And wait, hold on. We need espresso first.
All right, espresso. Boom.
I'm setting a timer for 30 seconds. Can we do it?
Yeah.
All right. And okay, so week 2 was a full rest week. We took it easy. We explored Con Castle, which is 5 minutes down from our street, walking. It's right there. It was built in the 11th century by William the Conqueror, and it is amazing. What was your favorite part about Con Castle?
It's old, and there was a moat within a moat, and there was sheep in the moat.
Sheep.
Yeah. There's sheep in the moat.
My favorite part was these 2 gates. One is 30 seconds, it's already up. So here's the deal, guys. This is gonna take longer than 30 seconds. We tried. One is kind of the front gate, it's facing a church out in Con, and then the other is the side gate. And one of them, the history is crazy because it's been torn down and rebuilt several times. Once in the French Revolution, once during World War II, it was bombed. And they didn't rebuild it after World War II, so it's still in the state that it was in. And then the other gate hasn't been touched since medieval times. It's just crazy to walk around that castle and see how much history. And also see the changing history. Like, ooh, it was cool. If you come here, go there.
And then we went to the Musée de Normandy, which is actually in Con Castle, and it basically shows you the history of human existence in Normandy, starting with Neanderthals. They had like a mammoth tusk and mammoth jawbone.
It was so cool. Other than that, we did a lot of walking around. We went to our boulangerie too many times, and
no, never too many times.
Maybe too many times. It was all delicious every time, though. So delicious. We've made it a mission to try every type of loaf of bread that they have.
Yes, we've got a new loaf of bread every time that we run out of one.
The only really big event that we need to tell you about week 1 is
the bike failure?
The bike fail. Oh my gosh.
Long story short, I spent 3 hours trying to rent a bike from this bike rack thing. I was just standing there, beep, boop, beep, boop, boop, put in the credit card, and it would just not work.
In reality, he actually spent more than 3 hours doing this because we had scoped this out a few times during the week to try and make sure that it was gonna work.
We had this planned, like we went with our bags. We were ready to get on some bikes and ride. After 3 hours, came to find out that it only takes French credit cards.
Okay, on to week 3. This was a big week, so buckle in.
Yeah, especially buckle in because we got a car.
Oh, seatbelts are required. Oh my god, that was maybe the corniest thing I've ever said. Freedom. We got a taste of freedom.
Ah, freedom.
We love this place. We love Con. We love walking. However, we felt pretty quickly that we needed a way to get out of the city. There was public transportation. We could have taken it out of the city. However, it takes a really long time, and with our work days, like we're working half, exploring half. Sometimes we're doing full exploration days, but most of the time we're trying to do both in every day. So taking a 2-hour bus ride when really it's a 20-minute car ride, like, it just didn't seem worth it.
So we got a car.
Next big story of this episode, the rental car.
We had a bit of a learning curve in the first 30 minutes of getting the rental car. I knew how to drive manual, but I did not know how to put this specific car into reverse. I was shifting it into reverse, but it wasn't going in reverse. And we were parked on a hill right behind another car about a foot away. So when the reverse wasn't working, every time I released the brake and tried to reverse, we'd get a little bit closer to that car. So
then I refused to get in the driver's seat and let Eric push the car, so I got out of the car and tried to push it.
that didn't work. So it did result in
So then I had to get in the driver's seat
her getting the driver's
and let him put it in neutral. I released the e-brake and then he pushed it out of the spot so that we can then go around the other car and drive down this road and figure out how to reverse. Once we got down the road, 100 feet from where our spot was, Eric starts trying to work it out, and there's a bunch of people. We were kind of in a more industrial area in Cannes, so there was a bunch of people just kind of standing outside. It was around lunchtime, and we got fully laughed at.
Oh yeah, I mean, it didn't bother me one bit, but they're giggling. I had the window down, and he talked to me in French and laughed, and I didn't know what he said in French, but it was probably you don't know how to drive manual, do you? Or something like that.
Long story short, it was a very easy fix. The rental car person came in, and it took 2 minutes for her to explain what was going on, and then we were like, oh, okay. And then it was smooth sailing after that. Smooth sailing for somebody who hasn't driven manual in 9 years. But it was incredibly impressive.
Yeah,
to me.
I've been a pro ever since.
He has. It's been awesome. So that was the rental car story. Now we're on to what we did after we picked up the rental. So day one, we went to Pegasus Bridge, Omaha Beach, and Pointe du Hoc. Those 3 places are really important in regards to the history of World War II and D-Day specifically. Pegasus Bridge is the first place where basically on the very early morning of D-Day, people came in on gliders. I think it was the British came in on gliders, and they took back these 2 bridges that were incredibly important for the success of the D-Day invasions. And we were able to go to this museum. They had really incredible personal stories about soldiers and people who served and were crucial to the success of D-Day, and it was just really cool.
So after that, we went on to Omaha Beach, which is one of the beaches that the Allied forces invaded on D-Day, specifically where the Americans invaded.
Mm-hmm. We went to 2 different spots on Omaha Beach. We went to where the memorial is, and then we drove down a little bit further, and we went to Sector Charlie and Dog Green, because the beach was separated in different spots. And we got to see part of a Mulberry Harbor, which is after they succeeded in taking back that part of Normandy. They set up these these floating harbors, so that they could bring in supplies and tanks and cargo and all this stuff from the ships. The craziest part for me though was the beach is directly the seawall. Right above the seawall where you're walking, there are several tank gun bunkers. And we met a man who was there on a tour, and he was in the military, not during World War II, but he knew a lot about World War II, and he was explaining kind of the tactics of what the purpose of the tank guns were and what the experience would have been for the soldiers coming up here. And it just put a lot into perspective, just put a lot of imagery in our minds, and just kind of gave us the ability to imagine what was actually going on that day, even though I don't think we can imagine that. It kind of gave us some unique perspective, which was interesting.
Oh, and on Omaha Beach, we did see a big old rainbow going from one side to the other. It was pretty cool.
That was awesome. We were standing on the beach where this incredible history happened, where the history of our world changed, and we see a double rainbow. It was beautiful.
So from there, we went to Pointe du Hoc, which is where the U.S. Rangers climbed up these steep cliffs while being shot at by German soldiers, and took back several bunkers at the top of this point.
And the success of their mission was due to the fact that a few weeks before, the Allies had dropped a lot of bombs right there, trying to destroy the guns, and it created a bunch of craters. Once they get there, they were under heavy fire, and so because there was these big craters, they were able to go in and take cover, and they were able to take back that part of and succeed in their mission. It was crazy to learn about how everything came together, despite literally all odds.
All right, day 2. We got up and we went to the American Cemetery in Colville. And that was another intense experience. At this museum, at the cemetery, you get a look into much more of like the personal side of the soldiers who were all there.
The American soldiers.
The American soldiers, yeah. And very specific stories about certain soldiers and who they were and what they did. And so you really feel a lot more connected to these people who sacrificed themselves. Cried. Oh yeah.
That museum was, as far as the American experience on D-Day, was really, really cool. And then you walk out after reading all of these things and it's just acres, hundreds of acres of crosses and Stars of David, and
it's literally overlooking Omaha Beach.
So that's incredibly poignant, and it's a beautiful space. It's definitely something you don't want to miss if you come this way as an American.
That was, I think, that might have been the last of the intense.
That was the last of the most intense emotional part, I think, of our week. Everywhere you go, there are signs of World War II, the German occupation, American history, Canadian history, British history, but those 2 days were definitely the heaviest for us.
Yeah. All right. So day 3, we went to Honfleur and Etretat.
Yes, Honfleur is a really cool city. Very historical.
Both coastal towns.
Both coastal towns. One thing Honfleur is known for is those really tall, like 6-story skinny buildings along the canal. It was really cool. There was a lot of history there, and one of the areas that we walked through was part of the original fortified city, still intact. The street that we specifically walked on used to be like the butchery street, and one of the original stalls is still there.
Oh yeah, it feels like you're walking through a medieval town.
Yeah, I mean, it is the closest you can get to that kind of history, I feel like. And then we drove from Honfleur to Etretat, which is another town with a lot of World War II history. But we were there because of the Alabaster Cliffs. We're on the Alabaster Coast in Normandy. It's these beautiful white cliffs all down the coast.
Yeah, with these like rock arches and stuff.
And at Etretat specifically, there's like 3 big arches that jut out into the channel. And we went up there to go on like a little early evening hike and take some pretty pictures.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was a little cold, a little windy, but it was fun. We flew the drone, of course.
I was chilled to the bone.
You were chilled to the bone.
Literally.
You were cold 2 hours later.
Literally, like, Eric kept trying to turn the heat down on the car, and I was like, how dare you, even though we've been driving for like 2 hours.
How are you not warmed up yet?
Oh, gosh. Day 4 was all about
cider. Apples.
Yes, apples. Did you know?
Did you know
that Normandy grows like hundreds of different kinds of apples? And we have the self-proclaimed king of apple juice right here. So to be in essentially not just apple juice country or apple country, but cider country was an unexpected gift because we had no idea.
We had no idea, yeah. It's insane. It's like there's cidery after cidery after cidery. They even have the Route de Cidre, which is kind of like the Bourbon Trail in Kentucky.
It was amazing. We ended up at a farm with a ton of animals, got some ciders to try back at home. It was truly one of those days that like just unexpected happiness flowing.
Oh, we could have spent several more hours at this farm playing with all these animals. The sun was going down.
It's my happiest place. There was a big, big, beautiful chateau, manicured gardens, and then the farm. And that's actually my dream life. That is actually, to a T, my dream life.
It was like we walked into Christina's dream when we
It's good to know that it exists. I mean, all right. I'll take it.
Awesome.
Okay, day 5. I'm not gonna pretend to be able to say this, so I'm just gonna this is where we went.
Bevrun and Ouch.
It is along the cider trail, but we didn't drive through it before, but I had read in several different places that this is a place you do not want to miss. So because it was like a rainy day and we were tired and we needed to work most of the day, we just took a quick like 30-minute drive to this little town. And boy, was it a treat.
That was so cute. Christina got a new hat.
Yes, literally we park and I look across the street and there's this just perfect, like quaint little shop with quirky things hanging all over the place.
Bonnets
and ballet slippers and hats and scarves and teacups and flower canisters, and it was just like, it was a dream.
So then we walked around the town and we took some pictures and did some stuff. And so we walked down the street and found a seller.
This sweet, kind Frenchman was literally walking out, I think maybe to go home or to go do something, as we were walking in, and he turned around and then helped us, and
he was like, yes, we're open. We're open all the time.
Open all night. And then he proceeded to give us the best lesson about Calvados. We tried a bunch of, probably actually the best Calvados that we had tried, even on the cider route.
It was so good.
It was so awesome.
Day 6, last day of week 3, we went to Camembert.
Like the cheese.
The place where the cheese was invented.
Yes, it is the tiniest little town you could ever imagine. Literally, you can probably see the Welcome to Camembert exit sign from the same spot.
Pretty much like 3 buildings and a church.
Yeah. Well, church is like one of the 3 buildings. Other than that, it's just farmland, because Camembert was invented on a farm. Who would have thunk it?
Cows
will have thunk it. But we got to learn all about how Camembert was made, about the woman Marie Harel who invented it, and about that legacy, and about how it became France's most well-known cheese.
Yeah. How it climbed the ranks.
Yeah, literally, because it was sent to the military.
Yeah, it was included in every ration for every soldier during World War I.
And because of that, because millions of Camemberts were being shipped to the military on a monthly basis, it was like, of course everybody knew about it.
Yeah.
And then it became like just a symbol. I think my favorite part though, and as a non-dairy person, I was so excited to eat Camembert in Camembert.
Yeah, we got to taste test
3 different cheeses. 3 different Camemberts.
We're trying the cheese.
Cheers.
Cheese. That's interesting. That's really good. Creamier. Stinkier.
Tinky cheese.
Cheers. First one was best.
After we went to Camembert, we drove a little bit down the road to a chateau that is one of the best examples of medieval architecture to this day. Like, it is original.
It was awesome.
I'm sure they've touched some things up, but for the most part, it is original. Like, we're talking 1,000 years old.
It's nuts.
We met a rooster.
We met a rooster. Was it a chicken or a rooster?
Who was a chicken? Good.
I think it was a chicken.
We met a chicken.
Named Ralph.
Eric named Ralph.
No, his name was Ralph. He told me.
And he literally was obsessed with Eric and just followed him around. Tried to get in our pictures, which we totally welcomed, but he didn't take direction very well.
No. We got the backside of him in one of our group pictures.
Yeah, some tail feathers. Yeah, that whole experience was awesome. Also, we were like the only ones there, so we were just walking around. In my head, I was pretending like it was mine.
Yeah, it was fun being the only people there, because we were just walking around with our tripod out and taking fun photos of ourselves.
It's so much easier doing silly things and taking photos of yourselves when nobody's watching. Which then we tried to take. I came up with this idea, like, as we were leaving, we were gonna do this little video in front of basically like the gatehouse of the chateau, which is really cool looking, but that's also where the off-the-ticket office is. So there was still a woman working there, and it's all glass doors, so she could like see through.
And we could see her.
And we could see her watching us.
Setting up the tripod in front of this building.
Yeah, but we're gonna let you watch the video anyways.
We just do it, and then we get out. So that's the end of week 3.
Yeah, so that was our week 2 and week 3 of this crazy 2-month adventure in Europe.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for more videos from us, and make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe.
Yeah. Leave a comment below on what you, or like of the things that we did, what you would like to do if you were ever to travel to Normandy.
And if you've been to Normandy, comment below and let us know any other things that we should check out.
Yeah, what your favorite thing was.
Go visit our website, www.irvinture.com.
Yes, follow us on Instagram. It's an Irvinture.
Yeah.
All right, see you next time.
Peace.
Bye. Thanks for watching.